Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. Just a quick note. This is an audio-first story, so there's nothing focused on visuals. If you prefer fast visuals, cuts, or graphic storytelling, this might not be for you. But if you're here for a true crime podcast-style experience where you just listen and follow the story, you're in the right place. This is the story of Jean-Claude Romand, a man who lived a lie so complete that it spanned nearly 2 decades, ultimately leading to a tragedy that shook France. It is a story about the crushing weight of a secret and the extreme lengths one man went to in order to keep his reality from collapsing. To understand how this happened, we have to go back to when Jean-Claude was around 20 years old. He was a medical student living in Lyon, France. By all accounts, he was a model student. He was focused, disciplined, and appeared to be on a clear path toward a successful future in medicine. He was doing well in his studies, and those around him expected great things from him. Then, everything changed. During the middle of his first year of final exams, his girlfriend broke up with him. For Jean-Claude, this was not just a difficult moment. It was a total collapse. He became severely depressed. The emotional toll was so heavy that he stopped showing up for his exams entirely. He simply ceased to participate in the most critical part of his academic career. The school eventually gave him another opportunity to retake the exams, but he never took it. Because he failed to appear for the tests, he failed the year. This meant he could not move on to his second year of medical school. This was the moment the path diverged. Jean-Claude's parents were the ones financing his entire life. They paid his bills, his rent, and covered his basic needs. The thought of admitting failure to them was something he could not face. He didn't want to tell them, and he didn't want to tell his friends either. So he made a choice. He told his parents and his friends that he had actually passed the exams. He told them he was now a second-year medical student. From that moment on, the lying became his life. He never passed his first year, but he continued to wake up and go to campus every single day as if he were still a student. He spent his time hanging around the university. He would attend classes here and there with his friends to maintain the appearance of being involved, but he never sat for any tests. He never had any official grades. He existed in a shadow version of the life he was supposed to be living. Years passed. His classmates eventually finished their studies, completed their clinical rotations, and graduated. Jean-Claude did not. But when the time came for them to collect their degrees, he simply told everyone that he had graduated, too. He kept the lie moving forward, shifting it to fit the new stage of his life. Not long after, he took the next step in his deception. He announced to his friends and family that he had landed a prestigious job. He claimed he was a medical researcher for the World Health Organization, based in Geneva, Switzerland. To those around him, this was a crowning achievement. Everyone was impressed. He had gone from a struggling student to a high-level professional in the eyes of his peers. Around this time, he reconnected with his college girlfriend, Florence, the same woman who had broken up with him years earlier. He told her about his supposed role at the World Health Organization. She was impressed by his career and his apparent success. They began dating again, eventually got married, and moved to Switzerland to start their life together. Maintaining this lie required a daily, grueling routine. Every single morning, Jean-Claude would leave his home, pretending to go to the World Health Organization. He spent his days in the parking lot of the building. Sometimes he would walk in the lobby, pick up brochures, magazines, or reports, and take them home with him. He used these physical objects as proof of his work, scattering them around his house to make sure his wife believed he had been at the office. When he told his family he had to travel abroad for conferences, seminars, or high-level meetings, he would drive to the airport. He would park his car, stay in a nearby hotel for a few days, and then return home, telling stories about what he had seen and whom he had met. He maintained this facade with his wife, his extended family, and his friends for years. However, the lie required resources. He had to pay for a life that looked like it belonged to a successful doctor. He decided that if he was going to maintain this lifestyle, he needed to start scamming people. He started with the people closest to him, his family. Jean-Claude told his relatives that because of his high-ranking position at the World Health Organization, he had access to a special private investment program. He claimed this program offered exceptionally high returns. He convinced his parents, his other relatives, and his in-laws to hand over their savings, promising that he would invest the money for them. He even started an affair with a woman, and he managed to convince her to give him 900,000 francs, a significant amount of money, to invest on her behalf. Now had access to a large amount of cash. Of course, none of it was ever invested. He kept it for himself. He used the money to pay for the upper-middle-class lifestyle he had been pretending to live for nearly 2 decades. Every expensive dinner, every car, and every trip was paid for with money he had stolen from the people who trusted him most. He kept this con going for a long time, but eventually, the reality of his situation began to catch up with him. His father-in-law decided he wanted to buy a car, and he asked for a portion of his investment money back. Jean-Claude didn't have a lump sum to return. He had spent it all. He realized that if he couldn't give his father-in-law the money, his other victims might get suspicious. He began to see the father-in-law as a threat to his entire facade. One day, while he was at home with his father-in-law, he waited for the right moment. He pushed him down the stairs. The fall was fatal, and the father-in-law died. When the police investigated, Jean-Claude told them it was an accident, without any evidence to suggest foul play. The police ruled the death an accident. He had gotten away with murder, but the deception didn't stop there. After the death, his mother-in-law sold some of her late husband's property. She gave 1.3 million francs to Jean-Claude to invest. That money went straight into his pocket, just like the rest. He continued his life of fraud and deception, but as more years passed, the money began to run out. His victims started asking for their money back. He had no way to pay them. Furthermore, people in his life were starting to notice inconsistencies in his stories about the World Health Organization. They began asking specific questions. He had been lying for so long that he always had a new excuse ready, but he knew he was reaching the end. He knew it was only a matter of time before the entire life he had built was revealed to be a total fabrication. He decided that if he could not hide the truth, he would destroy everything. He went to a local store and bought a gun, ammunition, a silencer, and an electric stun wand. One night, while his wife, Florence, was asleep beside him, he picked up a rolling pin and attacked her. He struck her until she was no longer moving. He then took his gun and shot his 2 children. After that, he drove to his parents' house and shot them as well. He then drove to Paris to see the woman he had been having an affair with, the same woman he had conned into investing with him years before. He met her, telling her he wanted to take her out to dinner. He drove her toward a remote area in the woods, far from the city. Once they were isolated, he got her out of the car. He sprayed her in the eyes with tear gas and used the electric stun wand on her. She began begging him to spare her life. At the last possible moment, he stopped and let her go. After that, he drove back home. He decided he would take his own life to end the cycle. He took a large quantity of sleeping pills, poured gasoline throughout the house, and set it on fire. He laid down in the house, waiting for the fire to kill him. A few minutes later, firefighters arrived at the scene. They found Jean-Claude inside the burning home and managed to rescue him. He survived the fire and the overdose. After he recovered in the hospital, he was arrested. He went to trial, and he was found guilty. He then drove to Paris to see the woman he had been having an affair with, the same woman he had conned into investing with him years before. He met her, telling her he wanted to take her out to dinner. He drove her toward a remote area in the woods, far from the city. Once they were isolated, he got her out of the car. He sprayed her in the eyes with tear gas and used the electric stun wand on her. She began begging him to spare her life. At the last possible moment, he stopped and let her go. After that, he drove back home. He decided he would take his own life to end the cycle. He took a large quantity of sleeping pills, poured gasoline throughout the house, and set it on fire. He laid down in the house, waiting for the fire to kill him. A few minutes later, firefighters arrived at the scene. They found Jean-Claude inside the burning home and managed to rescue him. He survived the fire and the overdose. After he recovered in the hospital, he was arrested. He went to trial, and he was found guilty.